I'm not drink driving. I've just driven, so now I'm drinking. You can drink in a car if you're not driving. That's the law. Also, you can drink in a car if it's not moving in any way. You can drink in a car if it's moving, but you're not driving. You can also drink if you're moving and you're not in a car. Throughout, we will be also patching through to designer Gaston Plum. Obviously, I'm not going to say the book title now. I say it with the guest later on, but I don't need to because Gaston has already read it. So let's just maybe patch through to Gaston. A Gaston Plum original. He's French. So I've been a little bit concerned about being in the house recently. That's why I'm in my car. It's also the reason that there hasn't been much mention of my arch nemesis Susan recently. As you all know, Susan used to run the book club before me until the incident. She's been trying to infiltrate the club. Well, I've now found out she's bugged my house. But she's bugged the lounge specifically. Let me get out of here. Right, so let's go into the lounge. It took me so long to notice the microphones in here. And I don't know why I didn't see them. I think part of the problem is that I've got a lot of my own microphones, as you can see. If we zoom in, can you see it yet? Oh, it is. She bugged this book. And if you're thinking, how do you know that? That could just be a book. That's a lovely child's book, The Grouchy Ladybug by Eric Carle. Zoom in. Ladybug's got a mic. A little bit of background on our guest. His name is Sir Graham Dickson. This man is the sole academic behind the literary A. If we would write it like that, he was the one who said, guys, let's make that more complicated. He was in fact knighted for it. That's why he is, of course, Sir Graham Dickson. He's also a doctor, a professor. He holds every title that you can imagine. A princess. Is that a cape, sir?
It is a shirt designed to look like a cape, indeed inspired by a cape. My trousers, which I won't reveal, are also cape inspired.
I can't remember the literary conference that we met at. It eludes me.
The Zurich Literary Marathon Summit. It's remarkable that you've forgotten such an event because as a marathon summit, it, of course, lasted for 6 months.
I've spoken about it very openly. That was during my time where I was struggling with steroid abuse. So I lost the whole of 2012. I missed the Olympics.
Yes, you missed the Olympics. And you love the discus.
As Pocket Shepherd says, 10 people died at the marathon. They did. I only read it in the newspaper because obviously I couldn't remember because I was tripping balls. You did a really great keynote speech.
It was a great keynote speech. It was certainly a very impactful one. It was at that speech where all 10 of those people perished. The speech involved
guns, didn't it? So you shot 10 people, didn't you?
I have since been granted royal immunity because since we last spoke, actually, I'm a princess now.
You're Sir, Doctor, Professor, obviously, BA Hons, please, MA, FA, GA, goalkeeper, and King, Queen, and now Princess. I can't think of any more. Earl, Baron.
Yes, the funny thing about my status as princess is that I'm the daughter of myself as king and queen. I imagine most of us, when we're reading at a desk, in a bed, in a bank, will sort of often carry a vial of sand.
Pledge. I'll give my pledge first. My pledge, booklet pledge last week was to have a book inserted in my arm. My pledge this week is to I'm going to get that removed. It's actually become quite dangerous. The ink is seeped into my blood, and let's just say there's a lot of paper cuts. Perhaps that wasn't the greatest idea I've ever had. I hold my hands above my head. Sometimes when you are a literary woman, you must admit your mistakes, and in a way that's the most academic thing you can do. Princess Graham Dickson, what's your pledge this week?
Well, my pledge this week is I'm going to try my hardest not to shoot anyone this week.
That's a very noble pledge.
And I will debate anyone who disagrees with me with my gun.
And that immediately goes against the pledge that you just made not to shoot anybody. Little book club tradition. We say the book title at the same time. 3, 2, 1.
Why I gashed.
Why I gashed. Who wrote it?
Well, this is, of course, the latest novel from Claire de Montparnasse.
We're just going to nip back to check on Gaston Plum, who this whole time has been designing the cover for Why I Gashed. Yes, very in keeping with the tone of the book. What you've got there is you've got the nature, you've got the butterfly. If we move further down, you've got the very unhappy flower. As ever, like a real pleasure to see your hands. I'm so sorry. Anyway, right. Now, could you talk me through the beginning?
And we have this beautiful butterfly who is our heroine, and then the remainder of the novel is largely, her coming to terms with why she bothered to leave her cocoon in the first place, why she gashed her way out.
When the butterfly and the girl meet, and the girl, we never know her name, of course, and the butterfly lands on her, we sort of see that the girl herself is in a way gashing out.
I've often thought this is a hallmark of Claire de Montparnasse's writing. Metaphors, consuming metaphors, like a whale consuming krill, which is one of her which.
It's a character. It's a character in the book.
A truly bravura chapter, actually, in the novel, that really gets inside the mind of a krill in a way that very few writers have dared to try. Because why would they?
Well, we've all read Moby Dick, but have we read Moby Krill? By chapter 7, I thought, hang on, have I been duped here? This is a book about krill rights. It becomes a bit of a traditional love story, but it yes. sort of isn't, because the moth is a big moth, as you know, that terrible moment when the moth chooses the lamp over the butterfly. I think it'd be lovely to hear that passage read out.
Claudette's antenna twitched nervously. "Don't go, Maxime," she said. Maxime, from across the room, threw a glance backwards towards her. "Claudette, there are things a moth must do, and there are things a moth must have, and there are things a moth must have, and there are things a moth must moth." Claudette shook violently. "You're not making any sense, Maxime. It's that lamp, isn't it? You've been seeing that lamp. You've been flying around that lamp, and it's mashed your brain. It's mashed, and it's gashed, and it's trashed your brain." Maxime blinked furiously. "That's not true, Claudette. I don't know what you're talking about. There, in this world, there are things a moth must do, and there are things a moth must moth." And then Claudette slapped him with her wing. "Oh, snap out of it, Maxime, you freak. I love you. Don't you know that I love you? Be with me. Be with me, and let's just get it on. Let's get down and dirty, and let's just make a little baby worm right here in this room." Maxime couldn't see her at that point. The lamp grew brighter and brighter behind her. he pushed her out of the way with his moth arm and started to float languorously but inevitably towards the lamp. Claudette, powerless as a little weedy lady butterfly, could only watch as Maxime grew closer and closer to the lamp, and then, finally, in a howling, shrieking blaze of glory, burst into flames and exploded.
Of course, butterflies only live but a few days. Very similar to the krill, living only a few days. But she returns to the place where she was happiest. She saw Colin. We haven't said that that's his name, but of course that's his name.
Colin the krill, yes.
With a K. Colin with a K.
Yes.
And Colin, he rode the back of that whale, popping his face up above the waves, and they nosed each other. They nosed each other in friendship. Before we go, obviously we have to take a little trip down to the designing studio to see how Gaston Plum's book cover finally shaped itself. My God! But of course the book it's horizontal. If you want it, get it. The Guardian, Krilling fiction, another Guardian, not any of the Guardians that you've heard of before.
And there we have the famous scene of the spoon slotting into the rhombus.
Gaston chose to almost erase the sunflower.
Yeah, there is the bit where the sunflower gets sort of covered in a sort of carbonite substance and becomes a sort of monolith.
And then there's Gaston's trademark dog, which he does get into everything. You've got your whale, you've got your blowhole, and there's Colin. There is Colin. J Bass 8 has brought up the most literary point of the evening. Of course, the krill and the butterfly nosed to celebrate their friendship, and that's where the 3D nose comes in.
And that's real special attention to the. I mean, the girl really has been drawn there exactly as written in the book, with a sort of giant frontal fang.
Thank you so much, Princess Dickson. Now, people can follow you on social media.
I'm on Instagram, and yes, please do follow me there.
What's your Instagram handle, please?
At Graham Dickson.
It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure. We are back next week at 8 p.m. with very literary man Richard Osman, and I think the only way, well, of course I'll sign off with my classic, keep on booking.